by the water.
Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Bacon. Welcome to the show, y'all. Let me tell you about this brother that's going through a lot of things right now. And this is common in prison, to be stressing out, worrying about things, and the things that you can't control. And it causes you to stress out. And this brother, when he stresses out, he gets rashes on his hands, his legs, his back, and all these different types of things. But this brother, unlike a lot of other people that would chalk that up to anxieties or stress and go get some cream for it or go talk to psych about that, this brother, he always goes from A to Z. He thinks that he came to me and we were talking and kicking it. And he told me, he said, man, what do you think this is? I said, it's probably a rash, bro. Ain't nothing, man. Just go to the clinic, tell them about it. They'll give you some cream and you'll be straight or whatever the case may be. And then I'll see him going to talk to somebody else and he'll do the same thing. He'll say the same thing to them. He'll talk to another person and another person. And before you know it, he's talked to 20 people about the same issue, asking them the same thing. But at the end of the day, what he's doing is fishing for somebody to agree with him. When he was talking to me, he's like, man, do you think it could be AIDS? I said, why would you say that? Now think about this, y'all. This brother goes from having a rash on his legs to asking the question, do you think it could be AIDS? And I asked him, I said, well, why do you think that? He's like, well, man, when I was out on the streets, man, I used to mess with all kind of people, man, you know what I'm saying, and doing all kinds of things or whatever the case may be. So I said, you messing with some females that were HIV infected? And he was like, man, ain't no telling about them. I said, but look, when did you come into the system? And then he told me when he came into the system. And I said, it's unlikely. I said, because when you come into the system after the early 2000s, right, they give you a test, y'all. They give you a test to make sure that you don't have any disease. I'm talking about when I say thorough test, they do a thorough test. They take blood, they poking and prodding and all kinds of stuff, right? So and they performed this test on him and he came back negative, right? So I asked him, because he brought it up, I asked him, I said, so why would you jump from this being a rash and something that could be treated with cream to a disease that could kill you? Have you done something that you might have put yourself at risk in here? I'm trying to be delicate with it, you know what I'm saying, when I was talking to him, right? Because I didn't want to embarrass him, but because he had confided in me, right? But you don't go from thinking that you have a rash to talking about it could be HIV. So I told him, I said, look, have you done anything while you've been in prison? Mess with a free world person, a female in here, a boy in here, anybody. Have you had any sexual contact with anybody while you've been incarcerated? And he said no. Now, I'm not looking directly at him. I'm staring straight ahead because I understand how the conversation goes in here. And I'm giving him that space to where, let him think about it, right? But I'm looking at him out of my peripheral vision. And I see his face all twisted up, right? And then I say, well, have you got any tattoos since you've been in prison and all this next? Because I said you could have got... a needle used on you that could have been used on somebody that got HIV. It could have happened that way. And he's like, I got a few tats, man, and all this stuff. I said, but hold on, let me ask you something. How many physicals have you had since you've been in here? He said, man, quite a few. Now, what happens in here, y'all, every year at our birthday month, right? They call us down to the clinic. They take blood. They check us for all kinds of diseases, you know what I'm saying, and check on our health to see, make sure that we're okay, to see if they need to prescribe us any kind of medicine or anything like that, right? And they do that once a year. Now, depending on how old you are, they might do it twice, or every 2 years, or whatever your situation is, right? Now, but he was young, so they did it every year. And he was always negative. So I said, look, you don't check the boxes, bro. You don't check the boxes to where it's something that like you participating in high risk activities. I said, so you should be straight. I said, so, go to the clinic, tell them what's wrong. But if you have concerns, tell them what you're telling me. You feel what I'm saying? And I said that to him because I'm thinking that maybe something's going on with him that he doesn't want to tell me. And I respect that. Because a lot of stuff goes on in here. So a few days go by, he doesn't go to the clinic. So he catches me again, and he pulls up on me and he's talking to me. He said, man, Joe T, he said, man, I was watching this thing on TV, man, and they were talking about, like, if you get a bump in your mouth, that could be this, that could be that. I said, we on this again? And he was like, man, it could be. I said, yes, it could be, bro. I said, but I'm going to tell you like I told you before. If you haven't participated in any high-risk behavior, it's unlikely, bro. I said, you can't catch a disease like that just flow through the air. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, man. And if it is, you are a rarity. And you need to go down there and let them folks figure it out. So he kept going back and forth. And I'm getting impatient with him, but I'm not showing him that. I'm showing him all the patience because it's serious. You get sick in here, y'all, and it's going to be a tight fight with a short pipe. Ain't no telling, depending on your situation and all this and that, you may or may not get treated. Now, I know some of y'all might find that hard to believe, and I know some of y'all might disagree with what I'm saying, but that's real. That's real in here, because they have so many people that'll go down to the clinic, and this is at every prison, with these stories of what's wrong with them, trying to get put on some type of med so they can get high or so they can, miss work and all of these things. So they factor all of that in when we go to sick call, and most of the time, they'll tell us, go back to work, ain't nothing wrong with you. Or they'll give you a pill, or Tylenol, or ibuprofen, something like that, and tell you to go back to work. And in the midst of all of that, serious stuff can get overlooked. You know what I mean? So I tell him, go to the clinic. And a few days go by, he still hadn't gone to the clinic. So he pulls up on me again and we're talking again. And he said, man, you don't think it could be this? No, now he's on hepatitis C. He's on all these different types of stuff. I said, bro, no. I said, again, you don't check the boxes. And when I say check the boxes, y'all, I'm talking about the thing, you got to meet certain criteria. If you think that you have AIDS, right? They're going to ask you, have you had sex with anybody that you know to have HIV or AIDS? And if you say no, they're going to go to the next question and ask you, have you had sex with anybody before you came to prison that you know that had HIV or AIDS? Have you used a needle behind somebody that had HIV or AIDS? Have you done this? Have you done that? They're going to ask you all that. And if you don't check those boxes, they're not going to bother giving you a blood test. They're not going to do that. They're not going to spend the money on that, right? And this brother just didn't check the boxes at all. So a couple of weeks go by, he still hadn't gone down to the clinic. But I noticed he's stressing and he's losing weight, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, dang, what's really going on? So I told myself the next time he pulled up on me, I was just going to cut all the way into him. So when he pulled up on me again, he's talking about this AIDS thing again, right? HIV. And I said, look here, man. I said, what's really going on with you? He said, man, it's hard because, I haven't gone down to the clinic because I just don't want to be ostracized by other people. And then when he said that, he got my attention. And that means that he didn't want to be judged by people. He didn't want to be made to feel bad, right? So now I'm thinking in my mind, he's done something that he's embarrassed about. And he's not feeling well physically. And he's connected the dots, rightly or wrongly, to whatever it was that he did that he's embarrassed about. Keep up with me, y'all. So I said, look, I tell you what. This is what you do. I said, you need a reality check, man. If you have done something in your past, that's your business. Ain't nobody else's. I said, get on that phone, talk to your moms and pops about it, and make a decision. Because I said, here's the problem that you're going to have. By you delaying, checking it to see what's going on, you're getting sicker if you are sick. You feel me? And he looked at me, he was like, yeah. And I noticed his eyes, the tears started to well up in his eyes, right? Like he was about to cry. So I turned my head to give him a chance to straighten up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's real tricky in here, y'all. You understand? You don't want people to feel like they can't come to talk to you. Not me. I don't want people to feel like that. You know? So I turned my head to give him a minute to get himself straight. He got himself straight. I said, you're going to be all right, though. You know, you're going to be all right. And then I did like, you know, like most men do, right? I hit him in his arm, you know what I'm saying? Give him a old reality check. You straight, bro? You good? You good? Then he started to laugh, and I started to laugh, you know. But I started to feel bad about it. So another day goes by, another day goes by, another day goes by. And I see that he wants to come talk to me, but he don't come talk to me. So I pull up on him. I said, bro, you good? He was like, yeah, I'm good. Sounding like he was up in spirits, you know. So I said, you talk to your moms and your pops? What's going on? He was like, yeah, I talked to him, but we didn't really get into it, you know. My dad, he told me, he said, man, quit being paranoid, you know what I'm saying? Called me a hypochondriac and all this and that, right? And me and him both started laughing. I said, man, I agree with your pops, man. You got issues, man. I said, you might need to talk to the shrink. That's what you might need to do. You know what I'm saying? And I said, ain't nothing wrong with it. Go on down, I get you some anxiety meds or something. You're going to be good. You be straight. You know? And I got him laughing, though. You know what I'm saying? And that's important when you're talking to somebody, man. You know, you want to try to give them a little time away from worrying, you know what I'm saying? And laughter will do that. It'll take it off their minds for a few seconds, you know what I'm saying? And those seconds can lead into minutes, and those minutes can lead into hours, those hours can lead into days, and then they can move on with their lives. You feel what I'm saying? But you got to be patient with people, right? So we kept talking, you know what I'm saying, going back and forth, and he said, man, he said, I need to talk to you about something. I said, anything, bro. You can talk to me about anything. He said, you ain't going to say nothing to nobody about it? I said, nah, I'm not going to do that, bro. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say anything about it. You know what I'm saying? What is it? He said, man, when I first came into prison, man, you know, and he said, it's going to sound silly, man. He said, but it only happened one time. You know what I mean? I said, okay. Now, in the back of my mind, I got all kind of stuff running through my mind. You know what I mean? But I don't say anything. I just let him talk. And he tells me when he first came into prison, you know, he messed around a little bit. Now, when he first said he messed around a little bit, I'm thinking he talking about with a boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay. I said, so what made you do that? He said, man, I just wanted to get high. I said, wait, hold up. What you talking about here? He said, man, I was just tripping, man. I was with some of the guys, man, and you know what I'm saying? They were getting high, shooting some dope and all this and that. I said, so you talking about shooting dope? He was like, yeah, I only did it one time though, man. I said, who was it? Who were these people? So he started telling me who it was, and then it clicked. He's in a group of guys. Now, I don't know who he went afterwards and all this and that, but a lot of people in here, you know what I'm saying, are sick. But that don't stop them from sharing needles with other people. They say that they clean the needles, but a lot of times people in here, they'll just run some warm and hot water through the needle. They ain't running no bleach through it because you can't get bleach like that. You feel what I'm saying? So now it's starting to make sense to me. Because these dudes, 2 out of the 4 people that he mentioned to me, they're sick. And when we say sick in here, we're talking about usually somebody got either hepatitis or AIDS, okay? So 2 of the 4 dudes, he told me they were sick. And I'm like, I try to skip right past that and say, what made you want to do that, bro? Because I said, I see a lot of people doing that today. What made you want to do it? He said, man, just going along with the crowd, man. Just going along with the crowd. And I said, you did it one time. He said, I did it one time. I said, you ain't never shot no dope in your life. You came straight into the penitentiary and you put a needle in your arm. He said, man, look, man, they kept telling me how, you know what I'm saying, how to make it feel and all this. And then I tried it, man. And he said, I was high as a kite. But I got so high, it scared me. I said, okay. I said, you never thought to ask them about the needle, this is it clean? And you didn't ever, you know what I'm saying, find out what was going on with them or whatever. How long have you been hanging around them? And he told me he didn't really know them that well, but because all of them, you know what I'm saying, belonged to the org, that everything was straight. He just assumed that everything was good because it was all fabulous. I looked at him, I said, I get it now, bro. I totally understand why you thinking and feeling the way you feeling, because what he found out a few years later is that those 2 dudes that I know that are sick, he found out that they were sick too. One of them had AIDS and the other one had hepatitis C. So he don't know what's going on. So that explained it to me. It made me understand why he kept asking those questions and was going from 0 to 100. So I said, look, man, you need to go down to the clinic. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, but you've taken all of these different physicals and blood tests and nothing has come up positive? He was like, nothing. I said, man, you telling the truth, man. Because now that there's something to go on, I'm looking at him like, he might be lying. He might be lying. I said, man, don't be lying, man. Ain't no time to be lying. He said, man, Joe, I'm not lying to you, man. I'm not lying. All my tests been negative. I said, then it can't be that. I said, but it don't matter. And at this point, you need to get your butt down to the clinic, man. Quit playing. He said, man, I'm going down there tomorrow, man. I said, your word, man. Give me your word you're going down there. So check this out. This brother go down to the clinic the next day. I see him a couple of hours later, and we rapping. I said, well, are you going to tell me what's up or what? He said, oh, no, man, it ain't nothing, man. They took blood and all this and that, right? And they said that they going to check it out, and but they don't think that's what it is. What did they say they thought it was? He said they thought it was anxieties. I looked at him, and I started laughing, but at the same time, I was like, man, you better quit playing, man. I said, so when did they tell you to come back and check on the blood test? He said, they told me that if they called me back down there, that meant that it was positive and they were going to need to talk to me about it. But if they don't call me back down in the next 3 days, that it was negative, you know. And that's how they do in here. If it's bad news, if a test pops positive, they're going to call you down there. They're going to go through the whole speech with you, get you some medicine, so on and so forth. But if your test results are negative, they're not going to call you back down there to tell you that. They'll wait till your next regular scheduled appointment, and then they'll let you look at your file, or they'll tell you what your test that you may not be aware of showed, right? I said, okay. And that's how it goes in here. So 2 or 3 days go by, boy, he walking around, he's skipping around, he's feeling a little better because he's heard from a medical professional that they don't think he's got it, and they gave him this cream for this rash that he's got on his legs and his hands, right? So he's feeling a little bit more confident and all this and that, right? But now I'm nervous for him. I'm like, either he's lost his mind, or he lying again. You never know in here. Because now he ain't even acting like anything wrong. And maybe he's just one of those people, he's just, you know, burying his head in the sand now. And maybe he's just feeling relief that he was able to say something about that to me and to them and not get judged. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But after 3 days, they don't call him. 4th day, they don't call him. Now, I want him to just go down there to find out for sure. Because they'll miss something every now and then. He said, Joe T, man, you making me nervous. I'm not going down there. I mean, the folks told me that if it was positive, they were going to call me down there. I said, man, go down there and find out for sure, man. I told him, I hit him like that. I said, you can't trust these folks. You know, like that, right? So he pops up down there. And the nurse said, why are you down here? He said, I'm just coming down here to check on my test. She said, what did I tell you? If it was bad news, I would have called you down here. So he looked at, he said, so I'm negative? She said, yeah, boy, you negative. Get up out of here. We got work to do down here. Nobody got time to be fooling with you. So he leaves up out of, he comes back and he finds me. And he said, man, negative, bro, negative. I said, that's good, bro. That's good. That's good. And the thing about this is you hear a lot of times, people in here engaging in risky behavior, man, for different reasons. Doing all the different types of things that they do. What I'm going to say to you, if you're in here or out there, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Because that mistake that you make, that decision that you make, can be a decision that can cost you later on in life. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.